Hey, welcome back. My name is Ann T. Social, and my puppy right here is Bilbo Flea Baggins. Today we're going to discuss Season 20, Episode 6 of Sister Wives. And the episode description says Janelle and Meri awkwardly meet with Kody to discuss an offer they received on Coyote Pass. Kody tells Robyn about the love letters he receives from women who have crushes on him, and they discuss if polygamy is still on the table. All right, let's get into it. All right. Welcome to the podcast, Sister Lives, a red flag rewatch. This is the podcast for disenchanted fans of Sister Wives, fans who fell in love with the Brown family, watched their precious kids grow up, and became enchanted with all the love, only to be told it was all a lie. Nothing was as it seemed. We were bamboozled, fooled, duped, tricked, conned, swindled, hoodwinked. What did we miss? Where did it go wrong? Come help me find out as we watch from the beginning. Before we get into it, I wanted to see if y'all watched that podcast called Pop Psych with David and Allison. And David is actually a therapist, and he interviewed Mykelti and Tony, and it was such a good show. It was really good. They did a chess match, David and Tony. Tony was blindfolded and was able to beat David in chess quite quickly. I don't think people realize how talented he is. Like, he would say D7, and then Mykelti would put in the moves for him, and he wasn't looking at anything. He was seeing it all in his head. And Mykelti even messed up a couple times and put it in the wrong place, and he still beat David. So I thought that was very interesting. I don't think we are giving Tony enough credit as to how smart he is with this chess. I was very, very impressed. But I think you should watch it. It really gave you some insight on Mykelti and her way of thinking. I've always thought that she was just kind of irresponsible and a fly by the seat of your pants kind of child. But I think David helped her realize that she's very empathetic. She's very feeling. She wants everybody to get along. She was concerned that her and Robyn's relationship was based on Robyn's need to get into the family, and that she was just using Mykelti to get into the family, or using her for childcare. But David helped her realize that Robyn was nice to Mykelti, and Robyn did help her in a time when she was not feeling very good about herself. And he kind of gave her perspective as to it doesn't matter what Robyn's motives were as long as Mykelti felt helped. Because Mykelti said she was feeling really bad about herself. She was kind of the black sheep of the family. And Robyn came in, gave her a place, and was a friend. Robyn may have had motives, but she still helped Mykelti. David helped her realize that. And that was very interesting. It was a good interview. I would suggest that you go watch it. It's Pop Psych. It's David and Allison. Allison asked most of the questions, and she was pretty good at it. She would ask, why? Why do you say that? What is this? What is that? She should be on the next tell-all. Anyway, this episode, it starts out, Kody and Robyn are in their brand new house. Kody says, hey, you got the crystal out. Robyn's sitting at the table, and she's got out these champagne glasses. They're Waterford Love Forever flutes. She's got 8 of them. It's $195 for 2 of them. That's about $800 worth of crystal wine glasses there. Says, I need to put it into the china hutch. Kody says, Robyn and I have barely moved. We'll be moving in for a while, which means they got a lot of crap. He says, hey, I just got back from Coyote Pass. Looks like they love the property. They know which ones they want. We're pretty sure we're going to offer on at least 2 lots and maybe the whole thing. Robyn says, that's crazy. Robyn says, we haven't even listed it yet. Kody says, Justin said this is a sure deal for some of it. And in the background, you could see those bear sculptures, and you can see that butterfly wing painting above the fireplace. So they're putting their stuff up all around the house now. It shows a flashback to when they all had a cookout on Coyote Pass, and Robyn was yelling at the kid. kids to stay 6 feet apart. This brought back memories of, remember when everybody's saying these aren't Robyn's rules, these are Kody's rules, but do you remember when Kody was standing in the driveway and he's asking Robyn for permission for the kids to come to this bonfire? Everybody thought it was odd. These are your rules, but yet you're asking Robyn for permission for these kids to go. Aren't you the ones that are making the rules? So that kind of told you right there that Robyn was the one making the COVID rules. It wasn't all Kody. Robyn's like, I don't know. We're going to get there, and you're not going to help me keep them 6 feet apart. And he goes, oh, I'll help. And then it gets to the day of, he's not helping. He didn't help. Back to present day, Robyn says it's really hard for me to let it go. Me having to accept that everything we had built as a family and our family situation is gone. And this flashback, she is miserable, trying to keep her kids away from the other kids, and Kody not helping her screaming the whole time. So is this the part of the family you're having a hard time letting it go? Kody says Robyn's a very special person who feels very deeply, and Robyn's not one of these people to shuck off a feeling. She feels it and she sits in that feeling, meaning she mopes and she carries a grudge. That's what that means to me. And Robyn says, so they didn't really give you an offer exactly. And Kody says, well, they told us what they wanted. Cody's on the couch and he says, for whatever reason, it's still a struggle for her to let go of it, even if it's going to help us manage buying the place we're in. And he is wide-eyed and he is not blinking. Something's going on with this man. Then Robyn did say, so they didn't really give you an offer exactly. Kody is one of those people that likes to, I don't want to say he's irresponsibly optimistic. Like he'll say, yeah, they're going to buy it. Well, they haven't given you an offer. They've just verbally said things. And you know how much money a verbal offer is worth? Nothing. Everybody, all of the wives, they know this about Kody, and you will see them in this episode go, but you don't really have an offer, do you? Is this really for real? We'll see. And even Janelle says, I'll just wait to see what really happened, because he does this all the time. He's like, oh, we're going to do this. It's going to happen. Well, you don't have anything in writing. You don't have nothing. You just have people talking. And what were you doing there in the first place? I bet you money Justin didn't want you there in the first place. I bet you're going to ruin this sale with your just being there because of the way you are, and you just talk too much. So now Kody, even though he doesn't have a real offer, he goes, I got to do a conference call with Meri and Janelle. I text them both. Got to make it official because I think we're going to get an offer soon. Then it shows Robyn on the couch and she's doing her squinty eyes. Dr. Adams says that means that she is either lying or she is dismissing some behavior. She's trying to gaslight, but she'll squint her eyes and she'll look at the ceiling. And he's a communications expert. Like he studies that kind of stuff. She looks off to the side and she doesn't look at the camera. And she says, you know, a lot that she's either lying or she's gaslighting somebody. And she says, I heard that Meri and Janelle are really concerned about fairness and whether or not Kody's going to be fair. Kody on a bad day is thinking unfairly, but on his good days, he's already thinking of being fair. I've said this to them. And then she corrects herself. She says, well, I've said to Meri, you don't need to worry. I'm going to make sure if I have any say over this, I'm going to make sure this is fair. You do have say over it. You're a partner in this. You own 25% of the land. You have a say in this. And she's acting like they're being irrational because they're saying that Kody's not going to be fair. Of course he's going to be fair. She says here, Kody on a bad day is thinking unfairly. Well, Kody has a lot of bad days. So these women do have something to worry about. Kody says, you know, the two of them wanting more, something more and more is always a concern. Potentially, I'm still trusting, and my expectation is that when everything is settled and they get 25%, that they're going to be satisfied. But that doesn't mean they're not going to come back and say, hey, I want more, I want this, or I want that. I just don't know. Yeah, you'll get your 25%, but just leave me alone after that. This man is such rage bait. And the reason he is talking like this is because he knows that he owes more. And he is hoping and praying that they will not ask for more because he knows they're entitled to more, because him and Robyn have spent all this money out of the family pot. They've spent all this money helping them get the McMansion, which they have sold and not given their money back on. So he is talking like this because he is scared. These women have grounds to get more money if they wanted to. So you've spent from the family pot and you've hijacked all the money from the McMansion. Now you're getting sued for child support. If he were to look at it, the situation clearly, he would know that, yes, he does owe them more. And he's just hoping against hope that they don't fight for more, which is why he took so long to do this, because he was like a child throwing a hissy fit and not doing anything with the land. And he was hoping they would just give up. That's why he's talking like that. It goes to Christine and David, and she says, David and I are just going out tonight on a lovely date, and we're going to a restaurant called Cucina Toscana, Cucina Toscana. It's one of our favorite restaurants. She's telling David, I love monogamy. I love that David's here every morning and every evening. It's just so easy. She says, I feel comfortable with you. I think I just like the simpleness of life. And they're drinking martinis and they're eating buttered shrimp. It looks good. She says, it's my favorite that you come home every night and you'll sit in the kitchen while I make dinner. In the morning, we have coffee together. That's my favorite. David says, how does that compare to being in a polygamous lifestyle? Christine says, I realized that I was a keeping score kind of person. It's embarrassing when I realized how focused I was on Kody. I don't like that. That was frustrating for me. Meri says, I think any human being is going to keep score at some level. I definitely have been there. And Janelle says, no, my life was busy. It was too exhausting to be worried about where Kody was and what everybody else was doing. Was it perfect? No. Sometimes I would get frustrated and sometimes I felt like the time was uneven. Christine says, so now there's no jealousy, there's no competition. She says to David, when you talk about Margaret, it's great. I want you to have a love before me. She's talking about David's last wife. She did pass away. She says, I love that I can talk about Kody and you could talk about Margaret. It doesn't matter. There's no jealousy. David says, yeah, when you got mad one time, you called me Kody. Kody says, I almost can't stop laughing at the idea that there are certain times when you do not want to say the wrong wife's name. And he's talking about sex. He's laughing like a 12-year-old boy. David says, how has it been since you and I have been together with your other ex-sister wives? And Christine says, Janelle is great. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, you want to talk about the other two. And she says, I felt betrayed by Robyn, just betrayed. I couldn't trust her. There was just a couple times where I trusted her. I would tell her things I thought were in confidence, and then I would get in trouble for them. Kody would get mad, and I can't trust her, so I stopped confiding in her. Kody says, well, I think it's really common that Robyn was also advocating for all Christine and all my other wives. She wanted all those relationships to be good. And Robyn says, Christine would say to me, I wish Kody would know this. I wish Kody could understand this. I'm struggling with this. Me being kind of a naive fool, I thought I could help, but I should have just stayed out of it completely. And Christine says, Robyn messed with my head, so I cut it off. Robyn and Meri messed with me. I cut them off. I remember Meri called one time and she's like, are we going to have a friendship? I want to be friends. And I said, girl, you were mean to me 2 months ago. You were mean. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be friends with you. And Meri says, here's the thing. Through the years, we have all been involved in hurts and disappointment. Christine says she doesn't know, but she knows I'm not going to have a friendship with people who are going to do me harm and who are going to do others harm that I love. I would love to be closer to Robyn's kids as they get older if they reach out. I would love a relationship with them. I never intended to end it with Robyn's kids. I was done with her. I was not done with her kids. And David says, I don't know. I'm a person. I like to be able to think that we can all get along in this world. And Christine says, we talked about just doing a trip and see who wanted to come, leaving it open. Whoever wants to come, you can come, but having it be a reunion. I think we need to have a reunion every year. Janelle and I will be there. Everybody does need to get together. I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know what it would take. It would probably take therapy. Robyn says there's a lot of toxicity in this family, a lot of crap talk. There's a lot of nasty behavior back and forth. I just don't think that throwing us together in a room and seeing what happens, I mean, that's just a bad idea. This is the way that Robyn is. Y'all remember that Christmas text thread that they were talking about where all the kids were discussing how they were going to do gifts and stuff, and Robyn got involved. She said that she thought that they shouldn't do it because the kids were too toxic or it wasn't a good idea. I would pay money to see that Christmas text thread. But this is what Robyn does. She says, we need to get together. Kody, you need to talk to your kids. We need to all get together. We need to get past this. And then she says things like, I just don't think that throwing us together in a room and seeing what happens, that's just a bad idea. She doesn't want them to get back together. She doesn't want that. Why would she say this? If there was an idea for everybody to get back together and she truly wanted that, she wouldn't say this. What happened to that fight in the snow where she was telling Kody that he needed to talk to his kids? He needed to get together with his kids. And here is Christine suggesting something. And she's like, no, that's not a good idea. That's a bad idea. She doesn't want it. We know it. Everybody knows it. She's just full of crap. Kody says, now I'm going to sit down and video chat with Meri and Janelle and basically give them the good news and essentially ask permission. If they're good to go, if you guys want to sell. I've had mutual friends with Janelle and Meri and lawyers and everybody giving advice saying, when you finish this property, all of you need to just say you're done. Thank you. Goodbye. And here's more of that. He's wanting this to be done because he knows he owes them more money, that they're entitled to more money. And he's hoping this will be it. This will be it. Robyn says, so Kody's like, I got to have this phone call. Do I need to be there? He's like, probably not. I say, okay, great. It's just too heartbreaking. It puts me in a bad place. And those of you that have listened to my prior podcast, I have always thought that Robyn should be 25% of everything because this is a business and this is a show that she was part of. And no matter how much we hate her, I always felt like that she should get her full 25%. Because even though she's the villain in this story, she's still in the story. She's still what makes this story semi-successful. So if the land split up 4 ways, it should be split up 4 ways. And other people are saying, well, Robyn and Kody should be one entity because they're married and they're spending all this money. Her saying this, I don't think I should be there. In this conversation about selling land that's 25% hers, she should have been there. She should have been there. And she's starting to make me come over to the other side, to come over to the dark side. Because if you're not going to put in the effort and you're not going to be in on this phone call, then you don't need to have 25%. If you're going to let Kody make all the decisions and say things like, well, if I have anything to do with it, you do have something to do with it. You need to earn your 25%. Earn it. You're not earning it. Kody's doing it all. So y'all, maybe it should be split 3 ways. You're starting to change my mind, Robyn. I was on your side for a minute there, but now I don't know. But so she didn't get on the phone call. And this starts the most awkward phone call ever. Kody says, hey guys, how's it going? And they say, good. I'm good. And he says, so what's going on? Anything exciting? How is the B&B doing, Meri? It looks different. And she says, it's the same. And I wonder here if he's not fishing for comments about his new house because he's commenting on her B&B. He says, hey, look, it's your dog, Meri. And she said, yes, it's my dog. She says, this is Zona. And he goes, Zona. What they're doing here is called the gray rock method. The gray rock method. It's very, very good. I didn't realize this was a thing for a long time. I just found out about this. The gray rock method is a strategy based on disengaging from manipulative and abusive people. It says, be brief when you answer any questions. Avoid responding with any emotion. Say yes, no, I don't know as your answers. Nod or shrug. Keep busy during your interactions. Don't feed into the drama. Don't give them any details about your life. Be factual, concise, and impersonal. And be as boring, uninteresting, and non-responsive as possible. This is how you deal with narcissistic people. You don't engage. Not engaging would be the best thing, but if you have to talk to them, that's what you do. And they are absolutely doing this 100%. They are not buying into this. He's trying to get them to act like everything's hunky-dory and we're all best friends now, which is crappy, is a crappy thing to do. Which I've told y'all before, these women need that money and they have been asking him to take care of this. And he just ignored them. He ghosted them. And now he wants to act like nothing happened, which is crappy. That's an awful thing to do to a person. But he says, I don't know what happened with Meri because I remember helping her move to a place in Parowan, Utah. And she was all fun and games and cordial. And since then to now, it is weird as I can't even, and he makes this face and crosses his eyes, I can't even say words about how weird it's gotten. Is he this clueless? Does he really not understand what he's done? I don't know. And Meri says, I just had to draw some really hard boundaries. And we got on this video call, and he's being all friendly and trying to act like things are normal after some of the things that he has said to and about me and my friends. That's not going to fly. And he talks to Janelle. He says, "How's it going, Janelle?" And Janelle says, "Good." He says, "You heard any good jokes lately?" And she says, "No, no, I live with small children. They don't tell very funny jokes." And Kody says, "I live with children and they tell very funny jokes." And Janelle says, "Mine are younger." And Kody, you could see these children she lived with and ask them about jokes if you had anything to do with them. You weren't such an ass. And the whole time Zona is hanging out with Meri, I think Zona can tell that Meri is stressed out. You know how animals can kind of sense? This is her emotional support animal. And Janelle says, he's trying to be friendly, like we're just picking up where we left off. Okay, I think it could have been him just like trying to break the ice. I don't know. Kody says, well, he kind of gives up. He says, well, you guys will like this. I've got some good news. So Justin had a customer that came looking for property. And they kind of made a subtle verbal offer on all 4 lots. And I just told Justin that that wasn't going to work. It was too low. And so they offered full asking price on basically what we thought was the market value of 2 lots, which Robyn and I own one of them and you two own the other. And so it's full asking price, $125 per acre. He's saying $125,000 per acre. You do the math. Robyn and I are on one, and Meri and Janelle will be on the other because that's an easy, quick claim, but I'm currently on it. So he hadn't even done this yet. He hasn't done this yet. We are just working on the paperwork. And Meri says, is this a potential, like, do you know what you're talking about, Kody? Do you really have anything, or is it for real? Because that's the way he rolls. Janelle says, I'm sort of withholding any kind of emotional commitment or judgment because I believe it when I see it. Like when I see the paper and I'm actually signing it, I'll be like, okay. Kody's back on the couch. They expected me to do all the work, clean it up and get it sold and get the deeds swapped out. They haven't done anything to help that. Immediately, Janelle claps back. She says, I offered to pay for people to help do the cleanup. I offered to have the lawyer draw up the paperwork so everybody just had to go and sign it. I've done everything I can. I don't have any legal ability to do the work. Or I would have. Trust me, I would have. And this is what she's saying on the couch. I wish she would have said that to Kody, but she didn't. Meri says, I don't even own the property. Like her name isn't on hardly any of it. I do not have the legal rights to make changes to any of it. So what was she supposed to do? And Kody says, all they've done is complain to me about not doing it. And added to that complaint, oh, is he trying to rob us? Which is what Robyn just said, that on bad days you do think about being unfair. So of course they would say, is he trying to rob us? That's not irrational thinking. Does he really think this way, or is he just saying this to be rage bait, for ratings? Because no person is this stupid. I told y'all my theory about the reason he had him and Robyn's name on 75% of the property was because they were trying to look like they had assets so they could qualify for that $2 million house. That's why it took so long to get the other women on the deed, because they were holding out until they got approved for this house to show that they had all these assets that they did not have. I think that's why it's taken so long. It goes back to Christine. When I left Kody, we talked about the next guy that would come in my life. He was worried the next guy would come in my life and take all the family money. And I was like, I just hope the next guy is nice to Truly. David says, I'm nice. Truly's mean to me. Christine says, but I told him, I would love it if you guys can become friends. Now they're on to eating pasta and steak. David says, we could be mutual. We could be cool with each other. Christine says, you and Kody could hang out. Would you hang out with Kody? And David says, sure. I think, sure, they're doing this for the show. They're trying to get everybody back together for the show. But I think David is wanting to get rid of some of this drama and maybe start talking to Kody a little bit. I think that he's just a better person. He's more evolved than all of us. And he's like, well, this moron is going to be in our life forever. We just need to suck it up and talk to him and get past all this for Truly's sake. And Kody says, my daughter lives in David's house. I should know David. Yeah, that should be something. I should know him. I should have the right, should have had the right even to discriminate David. And he gives this odd little look like he's saying here that he should have had the right to say yes or no to David. He's acting like this idea just hit him. Because he says, yeah, that should be something. Like, I should have the right to discriminate, David. That never even crossed your mind. You were more concerned about if David was going to try to get your money. And you should know David. A good time to know David is when you went up there and saw Truly all those times that you saw her. You could have went in there and talked to David. The truth is, you only saw her like 5 times in a whole year. Christine's the one that brought her to you because you weren't going to go get her. You didn't even try to get to know David. He could have gotten to know David at any time, but it's just now crossing his mind. And if we go along that same way of thinking, he's saying I should have been able to discriminate against David because Truly lives with David. What would happen if Robyn's ex-husband showed up wanting to discriminate against Kody because his children live with Kody? They would have said he has no right, blah, blah, blah. According to Kody, he should have been able to do that. Isn't that the rules we just put out? If Robyn's ex-husband shows up and says, yeah, my kids can't live here. How would that have gone down? It works both ways. I mean, the minute Christine started dating David, he should have had these thoughts and said, well, I need to meet him. Never even crossed his mind. David says, it's bothered me on how everything has ended, the way it is. It's not right. He says, I think it's possible to fix things to a certain point. He's just trying to be optimistic. He's just trying to get rid of all the bad feelings. And that's very admirable. Christine says, I don't know. We're going to be each other's lives for the rest of our lives because of our kids. We just are. You guys want to go on a trip together? David says, I don't know about that. Christine says, I was thinking more like a ride in the ATV. David says, no, I don't want to take him riding on my Razor. And Christine said, no, he'd have to wear his big boy panties to do that. And the Razor is that covered four-wheeler thing he has. Christine said, the thing is Kody is a good man. He's a good person, and we've had a lot of good times. And going back and remembering that is super, super important. He would just have a blast with you. He'd have so much fun with you in Moab. You'd have so much fun with him. You guys can go. I don't need to be there. She's making a lot of people mad with this because he did use and abuse her, but they did have some good times. And Kody at one point was an okay dad and an okay husband, and she's trying to just remember the best because they've been angry for so long. She's just trying to move on and get past it. She also has a child support case against Kody, and part of the stipulations of that is that they not speak badly of each other in front of Truly. So she's probably trying to change the way she talks about Kody. And David says, hanging out with him doesn't mean I'm condoning what his actions are, because as a father, I see things differently. I react differently. Christine says, we all have friends we're with that we don't condone their actions necessarily. That doesn't mean you end things. I think that you guys, your relationship is a good thing. Doesn't mean you're good on his actions, no, nor does it mean you're going to be brother husbands. And David does a shiver. David says, brother husbands, what the heck? He says, that's going a little too far. That's not cool. Kody says, because the term sister wives get used a lot, it just became a joke that brother husbands gets used. I think that it's so infrequent culturally that like guys just don't work that way. Usually I think when you ask Meri, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn this question, most of them barely want a husband. I think Janelle has been asked this question. She's like, I don't have to deal with Kody half the time. I know I would not like another husband. This is Christine. He mimics Christine and says, oh God, no. And Christine says, David and Kody are not brother husbands. No, that's just a silly term. Haha, that's a joke. Kody says, you know you're looking for closure in a relationship when it's gone bad and when it's just no longer even existent. You're just looking for closure. Property closes, they get paid. We're down Kody Pass. It'll be a memory, but we're moving on. And he just sounds so hopeful. Like, God, please don't let these women sue me. Because I will lose everything. His finances are like this delicate house of cards. If one thing falls, they'll lose everything. They barely got what they have now. It shows them back on the call, and Kody says, by the time the offer comes in, it could be for the whole thing, but I don't know what to expect. Meri says, are they considering that, or are you just being hopeful? Kody says, we have a verbal offer on 2 of the lots. We'll consider a verbal on the whole thing. This was really kind of agreement of trust until we get the title work done. Kody says, all of it really is just a title shift in order to get everybody paid equally. Any questions? And Janelle says, no, it's good news. Meri says, it's finally nice to have something moving forward. Janelle says, it'll be nice to have it all resolved. Kody says, we will probably have the written offer within a day or so. Janelle says, that's awesome. That's actually great. And Kody hangs up, he goes, all right, and throws up his peace signs that he throws up in all his cameos. Meri in a talking head. She says, if you would have asked me 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, if I ever thought this would be where I was, not at all. Nell says, I'm not being nostalgic. I'm not being like, oh gosh, how did we get here? No, like it's just evolution. I guess I'm very practical and like, okay, let's just get to it. Kody says, I love Coyote Pass and I'm going to miss being able to play out there. I'm going to miss the memories because I'm very nostalgic. I'm actually going to be relieved that closing on this and giving them their money from it will finally just say, hey, it's done. I don't have any more financial attachment to you all. And again, he's scared because he knows he's wrong. And Janelle says 2025 might be the year that we get this freaking done. Kody and I had our big fight like 4 years ago. It goes back to the big fight that we all love. And she's saying, don't you dare point your finger at me. He walks out the door and she says, F you, and tell him to shut off the cameras. That was a great fight. And then it goes to Meri and Jen. They're putting together some furniture. And Meri says, I'm so excited about this. Did you bring tools? I'm going to create a little office space. So Jen's helping me build a desk today. Jen says, Sean and I used to always say that if you can put together furniture that comes in 1,000 boxes, it can be a sign that your marriage will last forever. So this is a sign our friendship can last forever. Meri holds up the instructions and it shows 2 people working on it. She says, it shows that you have to help me. Look, I'm the one holding the hammer. And which I thought was kind of funny. And she says, did I tell you Kody called? We did like a video call with Janelle and he said that somebody wants a couple pieces of property. And Jen says, once it sells, does your money ever go in his hands or is it all handled through title? Meri says, I think it would all be through title. It better not go through his hands. Jen says, I just don't want it to be like, oh, well, I cut down that tree so I get more because I did more physical labor. Meri says, at this point, honestly, there's a potential for anything. And when it comes to him, it really has been a long time since I've even started the conversation. And now Kody's like, we got to get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. And I'm like, I have been working on this for a long time. I've been asking for this, and you were sitting around on your butt. He was probably getting a chainsaw stuck in a tree. That's funny, which he does do that. And it shows Janelle and Maddie back at her house. And Maddie is looking very pregnant and very miserable. And she's just got this permanent grimace on her face sitting on these stairs. And Janelle says, it looks like this is moving along. It's been a few days since we all talked. We actually have a signed offer. So it's real. It's legitimate. It's awesome. Now we just had to figure out all the minutia still and get everybody happy, and then we can move forward. She's telling Maddie that she's going to get the kids from school and she's going to get some work done. So speaking of work, your dad finally has put us all on the title on all the pieces. We actually have an offer. So we got the buyer solid. Now with this contract, it expires at a certain point. So yeah, we got to wait for all the stuff to be done through paperwork. Maddie says, so basically your name will be on all 4 pieces. When they sell, they will divide it equally. She said, what about the money that you put into that house? And Janelle says, I don't think there's any way for me to get that back. It was a gift. So Maddie has been telling me and my kids I should pursue the money that I put into Robyn's house. It's going to be a fight if I want that money back. There's always a billion reasons why he doesn't owe it. And I just think at this point that it might just be a dead issue. Kody says, Janelle helped Robyn and I buy our house, and I settled that debt with Janelle back in January, and I've been working on it for quite a long time. This just made it fair. And she stated to me after that was done in January or February, she said, our debt is settled. You're good with me. It was more than fair. And how did he settle it? How did he settle it? And I don't think that Janelle feels that way. Or why is she still saying it's a dead issue? I'll never get that money back. I don't think he's being fair here. That's probably why Kody keeps going on, well, it's going to be it. This is going to be it, right? You're not going to ask for any more money, right? Because he knows he owes them money. Maddie said, so is this a real deal? Janelle says, yes. Maddie says, are you sad at all? And Janelle says, no, I just want to be done. Our future is really bright here. I'm just excited about it. I don't want to keep messing around with all that stupid thing over there. I think I feel the closing of the chapter. It's a little sharp. It's sad that dream is over, but I have a new dream and it's better. It shows Kody and Robyn. They're in their dining room and Kody wants her to help him. It says, can you come help me a second? I need a second hand on this. Robyn and I had an engagement picture taken and it was really, really special to me. I wanted to take the idea and get really creative with it and have it painted. And I've got a friend of mine from high school, a phenomenal artist, and her and I sung together in choir. And he sings a little verse. He says right here, Robyn and I had an engagement picture. So this is their engagement picture. Remember the tell-all when Christine said, have you seen those engagement pictures? He shows some random pictures of Robyn and Kody with her on his shoulders. That's not the picture she was talking about. Everybody knew that's not the picture she was talking about. She was talking about this engagement picture. Robyn was talking about when he asked her to marry him, that they had an awkward little peck. And this is the engagement picture. Does this picture look like an awkward little peck? No, that was a lie. Robyn says, it's not like going to be in the middle of the wall, is it? And Robyn, a picture is supposed to be eye level. I don't think you realize how this works. That's why all your pictures are in random places. It reminds me of that scene from Alice in Wonderland when she's falling down the rabbit hole and there's pictures all up and down the wall, just hung willy-nilly. Robyn, it's supposed to be eye level. It's supposed to be in the middle of the wall. That's the way it works. And they get it up there and he goes, well, it's off. Whatever. That's good enough. The whole time they're talking, there's this porcelain doll that is inside this display case and it's looking right at you. I'll show you a picture on YouTube. The doll is looking right at you. It is creepy as hell. It goes to Talking Head and Robyn saying, I love the painting. I think it's beautiful. I'm just shy. If she says, I'm just shy one more time. So like Kody wants to demonstrate and show our love openly all the time. And it says the artist's name is Crystal Brown. Kody says, hey, did I tell you I got another one of those emails from some woman? He's half laughing, trying to downplay it. He says, this woman's talking about plural marriage. Robyn said, what about it? Kody says, she's kind of chastising me for deciding to quit plural marriage. Robyn said, deciding to quit? Kody says, well, she's calling me out and then asking, like, get to know us for the purpose of joining the family. And he does this awkward little laugh and Robyn looks annoyed. And Robyn says, I find it very inappropriate that they would send it to Kody. It's not usually proper to go hitting on a guy. You have to go through the sister wives. You have to go through like at least one. She corrected herself there. Like she did. She didn't go through all them wives. She halfway went through Meri and that was it. He says, yeah, I've had a lot of letters come in. Hey, listen, why don't you reconsider plural marriage? And they're saying, I would like you to consider having me in your family, like a woman who want to marry me and to be Robyn's sister wife. I mean, like, who doesn't like a little attention? But at the same time, it's like, that's a craziness that I don't want to indulge. I didn't send her a letter back. Robyn said, so are you bringing this up because you're interested? And Kody said, it's one of those things. I deleted the letter. Yeah, because I thought I'd just keep it to myself. And seems like you're my sweetheart. I'm going to tell you everything going on. And I wish I would have kept it to show you. So if you deleted it and you're calling it an email, all of us have accidentally deleted an email. And you know what you do? You go into that little trash file and you pull it back out and put it back in your inbox. And then I would forward it to my spouse immediately. Like, look what this person sent me. Here it is. But I think he does this all the time. I wonder how often he responds to these. Christine talks about Kody in the first book and that he's always in date mode and he's always open to new partners. And that she got on the phone one day and said, you have not talked to any of the sister wives. You are not allowed to talk to him anymore, to this girl that he was talking to. Any healthy relationship, if somebody sends you an email or a text, you show it to your spouse right away. Say, look at this. You don't hide it. You don't delete it. That's not healthy. That's not what you do. Robyn. She says, I'm just going to say it. When a young woman sees a married, stable man that is attractive, like she did, he's figured out some of his bullcrap. He's got a wife that's happy and he knows how to be a dad. I'm sorry, but that's going to make any girl's eggs drop. I mean, any young woman would be like, oh, he is marriageable material because he's already married. Truth be told, for one split second, I kind of go, wouldn't this be great? This is what I wanted for my life. How would they fit in? And she's probably thinking maybe Kody will climb off of me and we can keep the show going. Probably about to start having grandbabies and I don't want to take care of them. I don't want to take care of no kids. That's why I always had nannies. So if we get some more wives, maybe they could watch them. I've told you my theory about Robyn is only attracted to Kody when he has another person that he's attached to. And now that he's attached to nobody, she no longer finds him interesting. They call it mate poaching, and she's done poached the mate. He's already poached. He's all hers, and she don't want anything to do with it now. And Kody says, I just thought it was important for you to know because I got to thinking about it. These have come to us before. I don't remember you telling me about this other one. I'm talking about another one that Robyn received some information from a girl, and the girl gave them a place to go see her picture. And if she wanted to see what she looked like, he says, no, I didn't want to see it. It was probably OnlyFans. Why not just send the picture? I mean, why are you going to send her to a place to see your picture? Just send a picture. Then Robyn said that the girl was cute, and I still said, no, don't show me. I think that's just too weird. And Kody is grinning like an idiot. He is so turned on. He says, it's just too weird. We're married. I don't want to know that another woman's having a crush on me, even if it makes me feel special. And that's ridiculous, right? And he asks that question, and Robyn says, it didn't used to be ridiculous. Kody says, it wasn't when we were going to be in plural marriage. He says, man, she's pushing my buttons. I think that Robyn is more interested in polyamory than polygamy. I don't know how they would be able to get a religious marriage at this point. Who is going to seal them? And would it be religious, or would it just be another wife moving in? I think if another woman came in, it would not be from a religious standpoint. It would be just from just having a third person in the house. Kody's on the couch and he says, it's all a dream. But guess what? It made everything else ridiculous. Robyn and I falling in love made Christine ridiculous because Christine did not handle that experience well. Was I in love with Christine as much as I was in love with Robyn? Well, that's part of the problem. So anytime you have two entities, one is going to outshine the other. Guys can deal with that, but Christine couldn't deal with that. Let's just be really honest. Could I fairly love all these women? I wanted to. I tried to. I even faked it. He is just a constant contradiction. He just said that guys can deal with plural marriage, but women can't. Then you say you faked it and it didn't work. So you're not dealing with anything. He is just a word salad there. And it didn't make Christine ridiculous. It's not ridiculous that she's telling you that you're not being fair. That doesn't make her ridiculous. She's just telling you the truth. It goes back to Jen and Meri, and Jen says, what did Janelle say about this? Meri said, I think she's just ready to be done with it too. I just wonder sometimes if Kody subconsciously is like, we'll just take our own sweet time, and then they'll just get tired, and then I can just talk them into just doing whatever I want them to do, even if it doesn't help them. Jen said, that's what my children do. They wear me down until I can't function as a human anymore, and so I give in. Meri said, he's not going to wear me down. Are you kidding? I freaking stuck with him for a decade while he was trying to wear me down. Jen said, I just realized you haven't been to Flagstaff in like a bazillion weeks. Are you going to have to go back to sign? Meri says, oh, like when the property sells? I don't know. I might have to go. That would be weird. Jen says, you should throw them for a loop. You should show up in Flagstaff. When he goes to like shake your hand, you should just lick his face just to like keep him on his toes. Then maybe give Robyn like a kiss on each cheek just to mess with them. Maybe like whisper in her ear and be like, I still want this. I still want this. And there are some podcasters that said, this isn't funny. I think it's hilarious. It is hilarious. Jen is the best. And Kody says, mine and Robyn's relationship is going so well. Robyn and I are moving forward. Not that anything's wrong with plural marriage. Yet here, Robyn and I are still trying to purge it from our system because we're still discussing it like it's an option. Why are we getting these letters? That's kind of interesting to me. What would a woman want to be in plural marriage for? Robyn says, well, I know why I want it. And Kody says, what was it? And she says, having that community of women that had the same goal. That wasn't something that I really experienced a whole lot. I just don't know if we were really fully embracing the fact that you and I had more than one wife to have us sitting here at the table when we were having our little meetings, and for you to be able to say in front of us, all the wives, hey, babe, I got you. I'm going to make sure your needs are met, like saying that in front of all of us. Like, I need you all to know individually and collectively that I love each of you and that I have each of your backs. How beautiful would that have been? Don't you think that would have felt very unifying? She's pointing out where he failed. She's basically saying here that you did not tell them that you loved them and you had their backs and that you were going to take care of them. She's pointing that out, that he failed, that he wasn't a leader. And Kody says on Special Forces, the sign of a man is being a good leader is having the job and doing it. So she's pointing out that he wasn't a good leader. And Kody says, this is exhausting. He says, I guess the bigger question for me is, you want me to show you these letters when they show up? And Robyn says, did you just track what I said? Did you? What do you think about that? You just went back to the letters. And Kody said, well, it's all just a confirmation of my own failures, Robyn. Like, that's like, yeah, it would have been nice to have these skill sets to manage these relationships better. Robyn says, I'm not trying to point out your failures. That's not what I'm trying to do. Kody says, I spent 3 years kind of angry about it. Robyn says, I'm not trying to say you failed. I absolutely know that it's not all of your fault. This is all of our faults. I'm sorry. I should have never brought it up. It just doesn't matter anymore. Kody said, maybe it's a good lesson right now. I mean, those relationships are still hostile. Maybe it's smart for me to start figuring out a way to diffuse the hostility. And I don't think he meant for Robyn to go down this path because he's got this odd look in his eyes and he looks upset. Like he doesn't know what to say. He didn't realize they were going to talk about this. She's saying, yes, we need to diffuse the hostility for the sake of the kids, even though she just said they shouldn't all be in the same room together, that it was toxic. Kody says, I feel like that it is my fault. I need to own the failure of the family. This is wise because I was the leader. Like certain parties just went, I don't want to do this anymore. Like literally, Christine and I had come to this point where we couldn't figure it out. And I regret that. It's a huge regret to me because I could have been a leader there. Crazy thing is I'm looking at this, Robyn and I are talking about plural marriage, another wife hypothetically coming in. And I'm going, no, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And we'll just screw that one up too. And he tells her, I'm just trying to make the best of it here with you in our little kingdom. And Robyn says, yeah. And Kody says, you're perfectly fine with being out of polygamy thing forever. And Robyn says, I'm scared of it now. I don't even know how I would consider it. And Kody says, that's not an answer. And Robyn says, that's the only answer I've got. And I have said this before. Does a pinky promise, does that not mean nothing? They pinky promised that they weren't going to talk about this anymore and they were going to drop it. And here we are talking about it again. Are we going to drop it? Is this just another conversation that goes nowhere? And next episode, we're going to talk about it all over again. Are y'all dropping it or not? Figure it out. And Robyn says, I'm perfectly fine with you. And then it goes to next time on. Janelle's talking to Maddie and she says, you're really close to being 3 weeks out, right? She can technically come at any time she wants. And the director asked Janelle, is Kody in the loop on this? And Janelle says, no, Maddie doesn't even tell him that she's pregnant. He'll find out. Jen and Meri are opening up a box and it's Meri's old wedding dress. And Jen says, this is your dress? And Meri says, it's my dress. Jen says, oh my gosh, it's so small. I couldn't fit my left leg in this dress. Meri says, I don't know what to do with this stuff. I'm never going to wear it again. And then she says, unpacked a letter from Kody. So I guess they're going to read the letter from Kody. I don't know. So that's the end of that episode. Kody says so many, he's just rage bait. The crap that comes out of his mouth, like he doesn't understand why these women are upset with him. Why are they acting like this? He just treated them like crap for years until he wanted to sell the land. And then all of a sudden he wants to be best friends. Of course they're going to be upset about that. Anyway, so for my tell-all question, I just got through reviewing Special Forces episode 7 and it was good. It was really good. The drill sergeants pulled Kody in there and they're asking him some hardcore questions. And if you haven't seen it, you need to just watch that one episode. That'll really do it for you. It's Special Forces episode 7. I'm going to read you a little bit about what happened. They pull him into the room and they ask him how he's doing. He says, I'm happy to be there. This is an experience that I know it's hard, definitely, but there's a cherish about it to challenge myself. The drill sergeants say, well, when we witness a task, when life and limb is on the line, you fall apart. What we witnessed is that it was all about you and your decision making. Kody says, I'm aware of my mistakes. The drill sergeant says, we're at a point now where I have to ask, would I have you next to me in a task under pressure? Would I even have you near me? He asks Kody, what is your calling? Kody says, a husband and a father. The drill sergeant says, okay, tell us about that. Kody said, I had 4 wives. There was jealousy within the household, if I was favoring kids or not favoring kids. And there's always the accusation that I was favoring one over the other. Drill sergeant said they were turning against you. Kody says, no, they were like, I don't need dad and I don't want dad in my life. I was offended a lot by what they did. The drill sergeant said, what did they do? He said, they rejected me. I say, I felt like I gave all my kids what I had as long as they were engaging me. They always got reciprocation. So he's saying there that he only engages the children that engage him, only the kids that try to talk to him. He doesn't try to talk to them. The drill sergeant says, do you feel like you're taking proper responsibility in the fallout of your kids? Kody says, I don't want to admit when I'm wrong. The drill sergeant says, why is that? Kody says, I don't like being wrong. Drill sergeant says, no one does. That's ownership. Kody says, I mean, there was a point in my life when I was concerned about everybody, concerned about all the kids. The drill sergeant says, no, as long as they sang to your tune, as long as they agree with everything you believe in, right? I don't think you're being honest with me. Kody says, I'm the discrepancy. I should have had a strong relationship with my children. He starts to cry. And drill sergeant says, okay, now we're getting somewhere. So what are you going to do about that? He says, I'm at a place now in my life where I'm willing to say that I've been wrong. The drill sergeant says, are you taking ownership right now? Kody says, my failures was being a dad and husband. I really thought I did it right, but I misunderstood and I did it wrong in so many ways. I hated being blamed for it. So it made me resistant to ownership. Drill sergeant says, yeah, that resistance or not wanting to be blamed, it's a very adolescent way of looking at things. Kody says, yeah, I'll take it. The drill sergeant looks at Kody and says, it is your fault, no one else's. You got to own that before you can do something about it. You got to dig deep and own that. And then later, they have to write a death letter because people on special forces have to write a death letter in the event of their death. They ask them all to write one. Kody writes one and he says, Dear Robyn, love of my life, please tell my children I wanted more time to tell them I loved them. Had there been time, I would have got it right. I would have fixed it. You are my rock. Through so much sadness, I'll see you in your dreams, sweet queen, my eternal love. Love, Kody. So my question to Kody, being all that, and I realize at this point of season 20, episode 6, that he hasn't quite gotten to where he was on special forces yet. But to this day, after you did all that last summer, and it is now October, Tony and McKelty just did an interview, and you were still not talking to people. Still not talking to people. You had this whole conversation in June. It is now October, November, and McKelty just said you're still not talking to your girls. So did you mean any of this? Do you have any intention of making it right? It's been months, and we have not heard of you reconciling with anybody. Is there a reason for this? What are you doing? Just don't say that you're going to do it if you're not going to do it. What happened? So that would be my question to Kody. Makes me angry. But anyway, that's the end of that episode. And I thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week. That's it for today. If you like my podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to reach me, you can always reach me at redflagrewatch@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me today. See you next time. Where do pirates get their hooks? Secondhand shops. Another one. Why can't toes be 12 inches long? Then they'd be a foot. Put it up. Okay, see you next time.